and welcome to the Educational Webinar Jam. My name is Dima, and I'm the moderator of this webinar. Today's session will be delivered by our founder herself, Maria Zahir. She's a highly skilled teacher trainer with extensive knowledge of the latest and most effective teaching methodologies. She has fellowship in higher education and master's in TESOL and applied linguistics from the UK, alongside qualifications of Cert TESOL and PTLLS. Ms. Maria also received multiple recognition awards for her research in teaching methods and development workshops. Moreover, she founded Educational Webinar Jam to keep teaching and learning motivated in an ongoing struggle. Finally, there will be a Q&A session at the end of the webinar. So please use the chat box to post your questions and they will be answered at the end of the webinar. Now, without further ado, I'll request Ms. Maria to enlighten you all with her expertise.
Hello everyone, and thank you so much, Dima, for your kind introduction. I hope you all are ready to get enlightened by an interesting topic that I'm going to share with you today. And let's see how we move on from here. So what are you learning today? Today's learning target is to shed light on the paradigm shift of assessments. You know, after our new normal, our distance teaching and learning, online things, everything has shifted. So I will shed light on that, excuse me, to learn about different tools for online assessments, and most importantly, to experience an online assessment. What does it really look like, and how can you get good learning outcomes and a good feedback to the learners from this approach? So before I start, I would like to do a quick poll. I think the link is shared with you in the chat box. If not, you can go to pollev.com and enter Maria Zahir 806 or scan this QR code to take part in this poll, please. There should be a link in the chat box for you. You can click on the link and also participate. So here is your question. The link is here on the top as well. Share your thoughts about online assessments. Do you think it is a headache or answer to your prayers? So I will wait for your answers to show. You can also type this link on the Google search and reply to this poll, or use the link in the chat box. It's answer to your prayers. Good. Anybody else would like to share their thoughts? It's a headache, okay. All honest answers. Oops, it's more of a headache. The word has gone larger. It's essential learning, assessment. Okay, mostly think it's a headache and an answer, because the words that are getting larger are your answers that are most responded to this. Headache is more, okay. Both. Difficult, yes, it is indeed. It's tough, yes. Useless, let's see by the end of this webinar if I'm able to change your thoughts. Interesting answers. Okay, so most of you think it's an headache and most of you think it's an answer, both. Interesting responses. We will stop in 30 seconds. You can, interesting, difficult, great, something. Depends, yes, of course it depends. Straightforward, yes. Mostly effective, yes. Okay, thank you so much for your feedback. I will move on and we will continue interacting like this in further slides. Thank you so much. for your answers. Appreciate your reply. Okay, so the question is, what is an assessment in the first place? So it's a method of measuring a person's ability, knowledge, or performance in a given domain. So this is a definition by Brown, 2004, page 3. And I have picked out the key words. It's a method. It can be any method. It's not necessary it should be pen and paper. What is the assessment for? It is you measuring what? Ability and performance and competence. So it's about measuring the ability and performance. Doesn't mean it has to be a hardcore exam, 100 of multiple choice, lengthy essay questions that really measures the ability and performance of competence. So how have assessments and pre-post and post-pandemic changed? So what's happening? This was a traditional assessment system that we as teachers used to follow. It was a written test or an oral test at the end of 10 weeks module, for example, 10 weeks of instruction and accumulation of content, that where we go for a midterm exam, for example, and focus on grammar and written exercises for other subjects. So what happens for this traditional assessment? There is students' anxiety, more selected response item on the test, restricted responses. Lack of alignment doesn't mean every test or an assignment that was designed met the learning outcomes that we were aiming to achieve. And again, because of that, it becomes the negative washback effect. So how did that paradigm change from post-pandemic? So when we moved from from face-to-face teaching to online teaching, what happened? We were doing more of summative assessments in class, and it was more theoretical and everything. Now we have moved to formative assessments. We need to understand this shift to make ease for us as teachers and also for students, and yet achieve same learning outcomes and same kind of positive washback effect that we really want. Traditional assessments change to alternate assessments, more like a project-based, more like an assignment-based. And you will witness an assessment today with me throughout this webinar, when you will see how this can be also incorporated and yet achieve a very valuable outcome out of it. Very little feedback when it was a summative assessment. Actionable feedback that I'm talking about, that you're going to witness today with the sample you will see today, with a better alignment, better feedback, and one-to-one face-to-face feedback while online, and yet giving the same vibes to the students what they are used to in face-to-face. So what has really happened? What is the paradigm shift post-pandemic? So this is the key word, if you can pick up, is the largest word in the center: reshaping assessments in the digital age. I think the redefining of assessments here means that we have to rethink of ways how the assessments can still be worthwhile, still have a rigor, still have reliability in the marks and content, but the approach of we as educators, as academia, have to be shifted to something that is very different, that the need of the hour, and should be modified according to the way the test takers be. So most of you are aware of Bloom's taxonomy, and the Bloom's taxonomy has a bottom-up approach where we are looking at the knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. However, in this digital age and this distance teaching and learning, the Bloom's taxonomy has flipped to SMAR. So what does SMAR stands for? SMAR, the word S stands for substitution, where the technology acts as a direct tool substitute with no functional change. We are still teaching. We are still functioning the way it is supposed to. It's just we're using the technology. A stands for augmentation, where the technology acts as a direct tool substitute with functional improvement, where face-to-face, maybe we're just using textbooks, or we are just using the blackboards or whiteboards to communicate. Here we are able to, in online, using learning apps and tools within augmentation and the modification, significant task redesign. This is very important to consider with nowadays new normal teaching and learning. And the redefinition allows for the creation of new tasks previously inconceivable. And you will witness this, the SMART model, in a while, in a lesson plan. So I will elaborate on the SMART model for technology integration a little bit, because this is something that is the teachers really need to understand and adapt in their classrooms and in their assessments format. So the substitution here comes as a taking notes in the notepad, write a paper in pages, explain everything from individual whiteboard practice in math, for example, read an ebook. So this is something different. That's direct tool substitute, no functional change. We were able to tell students to write notes, but they were writing on paper. Now they're writing on a iPad or a notepad or anything on the computer. And then augmentation, use Notability to take notes, synchronize and record, add photos and graphs, organize notes in folders. So you can see how the approach has changed. It's become as a soft copy instead of a hard copy that we are used to, and so on and so forth. So what happens that Bloom's taxonomy has changed into Bloom's digital taxonomy, because it is 21st century. Now, I think it was good for us to go through in this way for academia, that we were able to progress our teaching approach, our abilities. I know it was difficult in the beginning, but with time we learned, we quickly adapted, and we changed our approach of thinking and adapted different tools to evaluate in our classrooms. So here, what's happening is the Bloom's taxonomy, we all know there is lower order of thinking and then comes the higher order of thinking. So remembering, understanding and applying is very lower order of thinking. But again, if you can see, I've put the icons of all the digital tools, that's like Skype or Word document or Google or watching a YouTube. It's all just understanding and applying. But where does the higher order thinking come? When you're using other tools like WordPress or you're using Edmodo, I don't know whether you guys are aware of it. It's a very good LMS system and it's free to use. You're able, and Google Classroom is free to use. There's so many other things that you can use, creating task, redesigning your task, something that will give higher order of thinking skills to your students and yet achieve the similar thing that you need to achieve in your classrooms. So when we talk of assessments, there is always a matter of saying what are the words for rigor. So the assessments, there has to be a rigor and there has to be a reliability to be authentic, right? So does rigor really mean it has to be severity, it has to be hardness, harshness, and all the words on the universe that makes a test anxiety build up in our learners, in our students? I'm sure this is not what really rigor means. So for me, the rigor is best described definition is here. That is a concept describing either an assessment that challenges students to use critical thinking skills or a learning environment that is engaging but supportive and engaging as well. So what is happening? The keywords: challenges students to use critical thinking. That's all we are aiming for in an assessment, isn't it? And a challenging environment, but supportive and engaging. So this is challenging in both ways, in the critical thinking, but an environment, but it is supportive and engaging. That's where we achieve rigor. So what kind of assessment is not a rigor? So generally, assignment aren't rigorous. A rigor is about challenging the students to use critical thinking, like mentioned in the previous definition, or higher order skills like analysis and evaluation. So assessments that depend on memorizing, that unfortunately most of the institutions follow, or recall, can't really be considered rigorous. I hope you understand this very clearly, what I'm trying to get the message across. Answering multiple choice questions or fill in the blanks on worksheets then isn't rigorous work, nor is answering short answer questions that students ask for facts only. So when it is limited and very restricted responses, are we letting them doing the higher order thinking they really need to? Are they really doing the critical thinking we really want to? No, I don't think so. These kind of assessments are really rigorous. So for true rigor, that's not enough. We have to go deeper and understand how in this day and age, in 21st century, where we are all into distance teaching and learning, change our approach to something different. Okay, so I have a quick question for all of you. These are some of the apps. I'm sure these are one of the apps most of you are using online. Are some of the tools you have been using online? Can you please write in the chat box, and I request the moderator to read the chat box for me, please. If you can write yes or no if you're familiar with these and you're using in your classrooms, please, in your chat box.
So we received 2 no's.
Okay.
One is familiar. I read the familiar answer. Someone replied. Someone said yes. Yeah. Okay. But most of them are no.
Okay. Thank you.
The majority is no. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dima. So, this was the most common learning tools that are used nowadays online. And maybe someday we can come back together on this platform and learn about this. We have done hands-on training. And if we have requests again, we will repeat it for you guys, those who don't know. But for me, these have become obsolete. So they are no more something that are very commonly used. There are hundred of apps online, assessment tools that are used to assess students, and they have moved on from these patent, commonly used assessment tools. So are you ready for change now? So if you can just type in the chat box, are you ready to get inspired by something that I'm going to share with you, a brand new concept fit for all subjects? So are you ready? Yes or no?
Yes, all of them are excited.
Great.
All of them are excited with yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So keep yourself excited. And here we are. So what is it that I'm going to share with you? It is a Hyperdoc, a brand new concept in the system of lesson deliverance that in other ways also a formative assessment for students. And you will witness a lesson plan today with me, fit for all ages and all subjects, that can use a Hyperdoc and use it in the classroom for well-informed formative assessment with instant feedback. This is very important that students are lacking these days. Teachers are piled up with lots of corrections and online marking, and they are unable to give correct feedback to students. So feedback is very key for students, and a Hyperdoc is a formative digital lesson delivery that shifts the focus from teacher-led lecture to student-driven inquiry-based learning. I want you to focus on this word, please, because student-driven inquiry-based learning is critical thinking and higher order thinking that we as educators expect our learners to go through. And through exploration, something that I mentioned earlier in the definition, that has to be very interactive and students are, and yet challenging. And we are getting the outcomes as educators. So why a Hyperdoc, you may ask? You are able to build a lesson in advance, like a whole unit of a whole week of lesson. You're not preparing a PowerPoint every day. Components of a good lesson designs are built in. For me, there have to be 5 E's in a good lesson. It should engage. Students should be able to explore, explain, reflect, extend, and apply and share. So this is very important. Encourages independency. For students being autonomous learners, it is very important in 21st century tech-savvy generation, where you might say, oh, I don't have motivation in my class, or I am unable to engage my student, or they're non-responsive, because this is 21st century tech-savvy generation, when they want something that is engaging, keeping them on computers, keeping them engaged. It's an engaging package. Flexible lesson design templates. Like I said, it is fit for all ages and all subjects. Teachers can be freed up to work with small groups. Isn't that amazing? We have integrated a variety of digital medias We do still add a YouTube clip, for example, and let the students watch it and this and that. But are we really integrating in the way we should? Students can work at their own pace, differentiate, and give students choice. Flip your instruction, that is very important. We do understand flip classroom, but we are not flipping it the way we should nowadays. And again, it is creating more hassle and more work for teachers and students, and yet the main outcome is fizzled out in between. So what does a Hyperdoc look like, you may ask? It's a digital document with the hyperlinks curated by teachers. So this is one of the examples that looks like a game board, where it is very colorful. And if you can see, all the little icons are the different tools that you're using, and the blue parts are the hyperlinks that are created. So inshallah, we're doing by next month, we're doing a workshop on Hyperdoc. So keep a lookout on how to create one. You'll be able to learn step by step how to create a Hyperdoc by in the beginning of next month. So, okay, so now I have a little game for all of you. So if any one of you recognizes any three icons from here, or are using in your classrooms at the moment, could you write bingo in the chat box? And if you do, you have to explain it to me to win a prize. You will win a prize if you say bingo, and you have to explain which three have you used and how. So these are some icons that you recognize, and if you could tell me in the chat box, and I request the moderator to kindly tell me who has written bingo first.
We still haven't received any bingo yet.
Come on, we have a prize for this. Don't Google what they are.
All right, bingo. We received the first one. It's from Rabha Saleh. I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm sorry.
Rabha, can you please kindly open your mic and let me know? Well done, you are a winner.
So, Rabha, you may go ahead and open your mic to explain the three of the icons.
Rabha, do you wish to open your mic and please speak out to us?
Shall we move to the second bingo?
There's another bingo. Yes, please.
Yes, it's from Saha.
Okay, Saha, if you could kindly open your mic.
Yes, okay. It's Vuki. It's a kind of app for practicing pronunciation.
Good. And what else?
No, this is the only one I can recall.
Only one. You had to do three. You had to do three.
Oh, sorry. I didn't hear you say. Okay.
Thank you for trying. Anybody else?
Canva.
Hello?
Canva it's this designing app. It's something to design, like a certificate or something. I can edit my name.
Okay, good. Okay, let's see. You have got two. Let's see if somebody has three. Do we
Hello?
have three?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Hello. Who's this? Yes.
I'm Rabha Sahi.
Okay, Rabha. Do you have three?
I said bingo, and I've been using Google Slide with my students
Okay.
to make some interactive presentation.
Okay.
I use Google Slides presentation along with the Hyperdoc, because Hyperdoc can allow you to make the presentation more interactive.
Yes, I know Hyperdoc. What else? But anything from here? Just Google presentation? Any other ones from here?
Well, there is a bingo. It's from Faunus Osama.
Okay. Mr. Faunus Osama, thank you so much, Rabha. I think you just got one. Thank you so much. Yes, Mr. Faunus.
Yeah, hello everyone. Yes, I actually use probably four of them.
Okay, so I think you have won the bingo then. So which can we say three, please?
Yeah, the three of them, the most important ones that I use with my students is the Canva. I usually use it to design some scientific posters and even logos. So it depends. Yeah. So it is So the second one is iMovie. It is I use it mainly to edit some educational videos, and to cut and everything. And the third one is, the Photoshop or Voki for practicing, presentation. And sometimes I upload my presentations also on Google Presentation and I introduce them to.
Okay, well done, Mr. Fano. So you have won today's bingo, and you will know something that you will get soon. Thank you so much. So I request the mics to be closed again, please, so I can move on with the webinar. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Fanos. You will receive a prize by the end of this webinar, and you will know what it is soon. Thank you so much. Okay, so let me move on. So when can I use this Hyperdoc? So what's happening is we are, as teachers, using our teaching and learning as a synchronous and asynchronous time. So what's happening in synchronous mode, students learn at the same time like we are now together in this webinar. And communication happens in real time, possibly more engaging and effective, and allows for instant feedback and clarification. It is very important for me. Instant feedback and clarification is very important for learners, especially when they're deprived with face-to-face interaction. So examples like video conferencing, live chat, live stream videos is something that we are doing by synchronous. So asynchronous is students learn at different times. Communication is not live, possibly more convenient and flexible, allow students to work at their own pace. This is when we are uploading our presentations, giving them homework on LMS, giving them assignments. That's the asynchronous time. So you will witness both of this, a Hyperdoc that can be used in both times, synchronous and asynchronous mode. It depends on you, whatever you're comfortable with. So instructional model, what instructional model do you think? Like I said, the 5E instructional model, I think is best for any classroom or any lesson plan that makes the students engage, explore, explain, elaborate, and evaluate. I think we as teachers, as educators, do follow these 5 E's in a complete lesson plan to make it really effective and reach the learning outcomes. Then you may ask, how can I apply this in my classroom? So at the engaging stage, where engage students with an image, meme, quote, or a video clip, thinking prompt, or other interesting media bites. So you are basically creating an enthusiasm or engagement in the topic you're going to start your students with. So how would they explore this then after this? So provide some content for students to explore and dig into that might be a preview, a new unit, pique interest in a topic, or just spark curiosity by using the engaging elements. So now we have reached to the third part of our lesson, where it comes to explain. That's where you teach in a direct instruction lesson. Learning objectives are shared with students and then often serves as a lesson focus. It is very important to share that day's lessons objectives, because that's the only way that students do get to know what we are really learning that day and what is really happening. So we elaborate. How do we elaborate on that? Include extensive activities or provide links to resources or further study on topic that often motivates a learner for a Hyperdoc lesson that should be, engaging, a complete package to explore. And evaluate. We all want to evaluate what we have taught today. So sometimes we give a worksheet or a test or a quick quiz for our students. So invite students to reflect on the learning. Being metacognitive will help ensure that learning sticks is very important. It's not about just talking and talking, not just engaging. It's that learning really sticking what you have taught today. So how low or how high-tech a Hyperdoc should look like. So this is a basic Hyperdoc where I have written all the elements for you and how you book your students, curate links to explore the topic, explain the learning objectives, and I have given different examples. By the way, this session is being recorded and you can go to the website and go through this webinar again, give you more in-depth knowledge again and revise what you have seen just now. How you can share this on different, so I have mentioned different apps here, different learning apps that you can use to each part of the lesson that I've just showed you. Okay, so here comes the actual lesson plan. Although the title of the webinar is Language Assessment Redesign, but I have incorporated for all subjects, like I said from the beginning. Either you are a math teacher, a science teacher, social teacher, reading, writing teacher, it is fit for all ages. So we have a winner of bingo. So this is where the prize comes. You are going to see a Hyperdoc template now, and you will receive this Hyperdoc template that you can use straight away in your class, and you can edit it according to your liking. So Mr. Fanos, you'll be getting something really amazing that is life-saving for you, and you can use it as you like. So now I'm going to show you the synchronous model in real time. Now, for example, now I'm taking you as my students, and I'm starting my lesson. How would I use this Hyperdoc? I will build community relationship, lead interactive modeling sessions, differentiate instruction for small groups, personalize instructions, guide practice and application, facilitate real-time conversations, real-time feedback, work in progress. This is very important, very key, that at times we tend to ignore for our learners. There's no learning. So this is a virtual classroom that I have designed that Mr. Fanos is going to get. The next 6-7 slides is a whole classroom, and the Hyperdoc is created in this virtual classroom to give students the real feel of what a classroom is. So here am I sneaking through my whiteboard. So I will start with the first E and engaging my students. For example, I've taken a science topic here. Why are we experiencing global warming? So here, as you can see, I've used a Jamboard icon. Use Jamboard to share your thoughts. So what's happening when I click on this? This is a Hyperdoc for me. I've curated a link here. And if you all can see, my Jamboard is opening. So this is a link that was connected me. Instead of closing my slides, going back and forth, I was able to open my task here, and my students use this Jamboard. There are sticky notes here. They can take a sticky note. I don't know why. For example, I can say, just for the sake of it, just to show you, and save. They can change the color and do whatever they like. So what's happening?
I think Ms. Mari, sorry to interrupt. I think the screen has frozen. So you think, could you refresh?
Okay, sorry. I think I need to come out of it and show you the other screen. Are you able to see it now?
Are you showing the presentation?
No, I'm showing the Jamboard.
You mean the PowerPoint?
No, the activity of Hyperdoc. You're not able to see that?
No.
Okay. Let me share my screen again, please. Give me 2 minutes. Okay, now you're able to see my screen? Hello?
I still can see the PowerPoint.
Okay, now can you see the activity?
Yeah.
Perfect, yes. Okay, so now you can see this is the activity that was connected to the Hyperdoc, and where my students were, I have left 2 questions for them here. What is global warming? What are some of the reasons? So the post-its here gives this is from, by the way, it's a free by Google Slides. There's a Google application that is free Jamboard, and it's an interactive Jamboard. If you can see, you can just click on a post-it here. Students can change color according to your liking. And I will just type hi to show you how it works. And as soon as it's there, the post-it comes and they can move it anywhere. So you can see how interactive it is, and it is an instant feedback. When students are able to provide instant feedback, you're able to see rise in temperature, cutting trees are dying. What are some of the reasons? Why is global warming? So it is sad, somebody has said. So this is where the instant feedback and interaction, and see how engaging it is. They can write the text with a pen as well. They can erase it with the pen if you're using. You can use the same Jamboard to write any notes or anything if you like in your classroom. So this was one of the activities of my Jamboard. Let me take you back to the slide where we were. It's just going back and forth to show you the activities. It's important that you recognize the fact that how things are different. Okay, so here we were. So this is where we were, and we thought, okay, so this Jamboard icon here took me and see what you know is again a Google Doc that I arranged. This is, I'm in the beginning, I'm exploring. Can you see the activity, please?
Is it a picture of the polar bear?
Yes, that's it. Thank you. So this is my activity 2 of my Hyperdoc. And you can see I've varied the activity according to different age levels. So you understand it is not just for higher education. It can be used. And this is a drag and drop activity. Like I want to know whether my students know where is a river. So I want my students to know where is Eskimo. So they will take the word. If not, drag and drop, take it there. Take it to the Eskimo and label it. And when I return, it goes back. So it is reusable. I can share this with my students in the Hyperdoc, and they can do it with you while in the class, or you can ask them where it is, and you can drag and drop for them. So you can see how interactive these activities are. You're not just talking, you are engaging them from the very beginning. So on this first page, where it comes to engaging part, I was able to engage and activate their schema or their knowledge just without less talking and engaging them by 2 activities, a Jamboard and a let's see what you know for the vocabulary part. Then yet again, I'm building on that engagement, showing them an infographic. You can see how visual it is. And with less talking, I'm able and let them talk. What do you see in this poster? What do you think? What are the causes, the effects, and the solutions of global warming? And yet again, in very little time, with very informative infographic, I'm able to take the message across and introduce my lesson plan. Now comes to the second part, when I want them to explore, then where I want them to watch a video of YouTube. And yet again, I'm not going to click the video. So I posted this icon and I've added a hyperlink. If you see, when I click on it, you can see a hyperlink is created. This is what a Hyperdoc is. When you put collect an image or a word to a hyperlink that you can click and go on to your class. Instead of searching and opening multiple windows, it is all on your slides in one place in your visual classroom. And you can see how my virtual classroom looks like. It is pretty much something that is what the students can witness in their classroom. Now I'm sitting here on the table on the side and the information is on the board. So it gives them a feeling of a real feel as well, something that they can see in a class. And yet again, when I've done with the lower order of thinking of video clip, now I'm going for the critical thinking, and I want my students to give me the explanation in an easy graphic organizer. So here you can see I have built up this. I want them to write the main thesis or what the real thing is about and give me connections and examples and explanation what they have found. So you can see how you can go from a lower order of thinking and slowly build up to higher order of thinking. It's not just gamification and playing and having fun. You are going back and forth from something engaging to something more constructive that your students would like to do. And yet again, using the same Jamboard, you can do the factor opinions, or you can even type it here. Ask your students what are some of the facts they have collected so far from the lesson and give their opinions about it. So even if you are an English teacher, we do teach them about fact and opinions. We do tell them to write an essay about an opinion essay. So it is again a multi-exploration factor happening here. So yet again, we want them to go back and explore more. So we review what we have learned so far, and we go back and review what the classroom responses are on the Jamboard. and record your responses here. So I want them to be autonomous and go and visit the Jamboard, what they have replied and their classmates have replied earlier, and do the autonomous learning, be independent, and record their responses here. Yet again, the higher order of thinking and lower order of thinking is again mapped. And you can see a simple question. One thing you liked about the class responses, one thing you didn't like. Write a brief summary of the concept of global warming. So I'm slowly building on. They are not getting nervous. The anxiety is not there. It's engaging. They're collecting information from their classmates as well. They're adding their thoughts as well. And as you can see, it's in a Google Doc again. So the responses are automatically generated for the teachers, when teachers don't have to, go back and forth, who did not. In fact, keep a whole track how many students responses who did. So students also know they all have to be very attentive, engaging, and responding throughout the lesson. And this is where you are elaborating what you have done so far. So we have reached to the 3. So main idea and key vocabulary, this is where the Kahoot icon I showed you is again in the elaborate part, and each word, I will not go back and forth to show you. I will show you Kahoot this time because most of you were not familiar. It's a gamification online learning app that is very interesting, very engaging for students, where you can create a Kahoot with questions and everything. I hope it loads here. Oh, perfect, it did. Okay, if you can see again, it was a Kahoot when I can play as a guest, and with the time, I cannot explain you everything, but someday we can share the Kahoot with you. If you can see, it is again about global warming. It's like a game. They play as groups or they play as individuals, and it is very engaging. Motivation kicks in from the very first minute, and students really get engaged. I can hear them right across my laptop. So key vocabulary, that first you saw the basic vocabulary. Here I have added more harder words according to the level I'm teaching, like carbon cycle, deforestation. So I'm showing you an example of all age groups you're teaching, climate change, emission, greenhouse. So I want them to, again, use higher order of thinking, find a meaning, and give me a sentence of the word, how they understand. Again, it is a Google Doc that saves automatically in your classroom, so you don't have to worry to collect papers or assignment deadlines. So it's happening as you are teaching in a synchronous mode with your students. I hope you're finding it interesting. Okay, so now we cannot ditch the textbooks 100%. They are there for a purpose, and of course we have to rely on them. But of course we do use scaffolding activities to build on the lesson that is taught. So for example, here we use skills for success in my setting. So I've given that example. It also has an online element that I can use. It depends on what course you're teaching. And then this is where the real teaching comes in. That's where I'm explaining and I'm doing the talking. So you can see in the beginning, it was more towards student-centered approach throughout. And now by the mid of the lesson, I've reached to the point where I'm asking them if explanation and any questions after my explanation. So now comes the evaluation part. Like I said, Q for Success has an online practice element that I can do as a pop quiz for them, or you can even create a pop quiz. Something that I absolutely love is an exit ticket. I always used to do this in my face-to-face teaching. I'll show you in a second. It is again in Google Forms, where it is like an evaluation for me and also what my students understand. One thing you like the most of today's lesson, one thing I'm still not sure of, I still need help in. So you can see 3 short questions evaluates my lesson of that day. It helps me to understand whether I overplanned, whether I was too enthusiastic with my activities, I should taper it down for the next class. Excuse me. Or when my students really got it what I taught. And even the shy students will respond in it. So it's not about nitpicking. You can encourage them. Like, you need to know what, for example, what you really didn't deliver like they wanted it. So it really helps. It gives you in 3 short answers that, again, registered in your Google Docs, and you're able to review your next day's lesson and pick up from there. So this evaluation part is very important. The pop quiz would help you to understand what really they got, and this exit ticket is like an evaluation of your lesson as a teacher, whether you delivered it correctly or not. I think it is very important for a teacher to keep a constant check of its deliverance and lesson to be really effective. Okay, this is a vending machine that lucky Mr. Fanus is going to also get. And this vending machine is something that I will use as a asynchronous part. Now, because I was showing you all those elements in a virtual classroom where my students were able to click on the icon, they got the hang of it, and they know how to reach to that document. So here in this vending machine, you can see this is a week-long exploration. Like, for example, I am going to upload this vending machine on the LMS system. And if I'm not using any LMS system or learning management system, I can email them or whatever way you're communicating with the students. And I will upload this and let them explore all throughout the week. So when I say we've got this, means that they got used to this Hyperdoc while I was teaching them in the class. And now they know if they click on any of these goodies that are unfortunately not chocolates and cookies, in fact, they are tasks for them, they can click on it and they can do their homework. So now comes the asynchronous learning activities where they read and take notes, watch video-based instructions. You can record yourself if you're in a setting, you're allowed to record your video, you will record and leave your instructions. Listen to podcasts, explore teacher-curated resources like hyperlinks that I've created, engage in online discussion if they need to, and I will show you in a minute. Practice and review, research and explore, reflect and document learning is the final day when they will submit their task by the end of the week. So you can see you're giving student time to build up their knowledge slowly with exploration and engagement and reflection, to give you a task that is really worthwhile and really achieves the learning outcome. And you're not going back and forth requesting for homework. There are deadlines. They are submitted automatically on your LMS system. So here it is. So now it's their turn. It's your turn, means the student's turn to explore. So what happens, it's very important, we know as teachers that there should be instructions to whatever we're giving students, right? So in the first goodie bag, there are always instructions. Like I've given them a deadline of 4th November, for example, 10 a.m. in Google Classroom, they have to submit their assignment. I have all the instructions, number 1, 2, 3, 4, what they're going to do, and turn in your essay final draft by this time. So see Ms. Maria Zahid for a conference about your draft. So if there's some point they want to see me, they can go and do the rough drafts and whatever and come back and see me. So I've given them enough instructions to follow throughout the task, where they start from the first vending machine and then they reach to the next one where I might have a video for them, a podcast, a Google Doc they need to fill in the process, a YouTube clip, again a doc, some exploration on Google search, and so on and so forth. Excuse me. Padlet is something, again, I want to show you. It's a free app that can be used. It is peer review, and where the students review their students' work. For example, if you can see, there is one comment here, Sarah, you need to fix your thesis. So what's happening here, my students have commented on a thesis that their peers have written, and they want to, comment on it. And so before it reaches to you as a teacher, it gives students the liberation to comment on their classmates and help them improve. So like in the real setting in a classroom, students do take helps from the, better students, and weak students do pair with the better students. So this is the best way where students can communicate, and Padlet is very effective in that case. So they can simply add a post, and by clicking the X here, they can type anything here and leave the comment to whatever part they want to. So yet again, you can see, even if they are doing something for homework, everything is still there and everything is still followed the way they should. So, and another idea to make your listening visible is very important, that you ask students. Sometimes our students are more tech savvy. and they may suggest a learning app that you don't know as a teacher. It's perfectly okay. It's perfectly okay. And you can ask them, okay, can you please share your favorite web tool? So show what you know. You can do show what you know app, and they can prepare a lesson on that and share with the classroom next time. So although we think we know, but there are extensive learning, just because just YouTube and just Google is not the end. It's sky high free learning apps that can be used in the class, and sometimes students know better than us. So why not give them the opportunity to share with you? And yet again, tell me and I forget, teach me, I remember, involve me and I learn. That's what Benjamin Franklin rightly said. Involvement, hands-on training, this is what the new generation is looking for, is very important. And we have got a hang of it in a year and a half post-pandemic, but we need to upgrade our skills every day, to be honest. The time and the generation and the technology is moving so fast, and that we have to keep up with the pace. And attending such webinars and professional development opportunities do help us learn, and we do go away with some great opportunities. Okay, so here yet again, a quick poll. I would request the moderator to kindly share the link again in the chat box, please. Like we did the poll earlier, Mr. Fawaz, could you kindly share the link again in the chat box? Or you can scan this QR code or enter Maria Zahid at poll.we.com. The link is on the top as well, if you are unable to navigate in the chat box. So I have a question here for you. Now, please be in the shoes of a learner, not as an educator. As a learner, what did you learn today? Share your thoughts, please. Would you love to use this Hyperdoc in your classrooms? I think it's a lifesaver. I think it's too much of an effort. I would love to share more ideas. None of the above. So let me, please share your thoughts with me. It's too much of an effort, okay? Perhaps you need to attend the webinar, how to make it. Yes, it is a lifesaver. I agree with you. Most of you think Hyperdoc is good to use in the classroom, 78%. We have a mixed feeling of lifesavers and too much of an effort. I would love to share more ideas. Definitely, there are endless ideas. This is just one of the brand new concepts that are going viral about Hyperdoc. And once you get used to it, you will know how effective it is. Great. So any more responses? Mm-hmm. 67% think it's effective. Great. So you have mixed lifesaver. Yes, it is a lifesaver. I would agree with lifesavers, to be honest. Well done. Please increase the bar. Yes, perfect. It is a lifesaver, to be honest, because you can see so much real feel. It's interactive. Mm-hmm. Mixed feelings going on back and forth. 30 seconds, then we will close this poll. Okay, so we have more supporters for Hyperdoc. I'm glad I was able to enlighten you all with something that is absolutely brand new. Okay, 71%. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Okay, we will stop this poll here. Thank you so much for your feedback. I really appreciate this. Okay, something that is very important to remember. Because you desire something doesn't mean you are ready for it. I am a strong believer of this. Your readiness depends on the amount of time you have invested in what you desire. Of course, we are spending more time on internet. We're trying to explore for different ideas. But I think Hyperdoc is a lifesaver. It is a complete package that reduces our searching time for different activities, and it gives us everything our students need and yet achieve what we want to in a real assessment, formative and summative assessment combination with feedback that we really need to give students to have more effective assessment background. So it's a mindset, practical cases, active learning, inspiration, and engagement. I can sum up these words with Hyperdoc. So be inspired what you have learned, and I hope you're able to take it back to your class. Okay, Over to your questions. That's it for me today. I am open to any questions. You can please type in the chat box, and I request the moderator to kindly read it out for me. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope to see you in our future webinars. I'm open for any questions.
So now we'll start wrapping up the session with questions. To all attendees, if you have any questions, start posting them in the chat box. We're receiving a lot of thanks, so thank you, Ms. Maria, for your efforts. I believe someone picked the choice D, Rubina, Hussein, and Sahar, which was, I'd love to share more ideas. So
Yes.
if they have, so Rubina and Sahar, if you have anything to share, you may unmute yourself and share it with us.
Please, Rubina, go ahead. Hello?
Rubina or Sahar Akbar?
Sahar Akbar, would you like to unmute yourself and share your ideas and thoughts, please? Okay, do you have any questions at this point?
Yeah, there is a question. What is the difference between inquiry learning and Hyperdoc?
Hyperdoc is an inquiry learning, if you can see. There were different questions posed to the students from beginning till the end, where I started with lower order of thinking, where I engaged them to a video clip, to a meme, or to a task they had to go on a Jamboard or a drag and drop activity. It was an inquiry, right? I was inquiring from my students. I was tapping on their background knowledge and asking them what they really knew, and I built it on from there. So Hyperdoc is basically a inquiry-based, engaging, complete package for students with formative and summative assessment. As you can see, the end outcome was again going back to a Google Doc where they had to summarize something, or they had to use a graphic organizer. It's just the task was designed in a way that they're able to quickly fill in the information and yet give me a formative assessment that I can assess them on. I hope this answers the question.
So we received another question from Aisha. She said, if we delay feedback on assignments, even no formative assessments, what is the drawback of that? Delayed or no feedback, that is?
I think it's an absolute disaster, sorry to say, Aisha. We cannot, if you can see throughout my Hyperdoc, what was the main aim? To show the feedback straight away, instant feedback on the Jamboard, instant feedback on the comments they had to go back and review on. All my activities had questions where there were feedback from the students on their task or on their peer task. If you are not giving feedback at all or delaying the feedback, it is an absolute disaster, because you are depriving your learners of something that they need to know to improve their learning abilities and skills that they haven't picked up during your lesson. Look, I always say I'm not an expert. I am still learning. I can say, oh, I have 20 years of experience. I'm an expert. I don't need to learn any further. No, I'm wrong. And if I say that, oh, I've taught enough to my students, that was enough. I don't need to give them feedback. They should have understood first. I'm wrong. I'm, as an educator, have full responsibility to give proper feedback. Detailed or not depends on your setting, but I prefer giving a proper detailed feedback on the elements they are lacking in their assignment, so they're not repeating the same mistakes in their exams, and they're losing this critical marks that they need. And I think no feedback or delayed feedback deprives them of the critical marks that they are capable of, but because lack of feedback, they were deprived of it. I think it's totally brutal to do that with your learners. I'm sorry, I'm using very harsh words, but yeah, that's the fact.
Yeah, there is another question. Thank you, Ms. Maria, for explaining this. And another question is, how can Hyperdoc help teacher cater for students' individual differences and learning styles?
It is because, most of the activities, if you can see, they were different ability students. We all have mixed ability students, and some might go to Jamboard straight away and, for example, and give a post-it and answer. Some might take time. So we as educators have to wait. We always wait in the class, don't we? We say, oh, you have 3 minutes, but we do somehow end up doing that activity for 5 minutes because we're giving the less ability students to time to go there because it's technology. Everybody's not tech savvy and the internet might be slow. Their using laptop skills might be slow. So, but with time, when it's been a year and a half in post-pandemic teaching, and I think they've got used to how to use this technology and attend their assignments that way. So it does it's a complete package, I think. It caters to differentiate learning instructions as well helps because it was not just one style or write an essay or just write a feedback or just write a summary. I was giving them a drag and drop activity. I was giving them a Jamboard to reply to others. Just a quick sentence or a word was fine for me. I was giving them quick questions to answer me. So you can see this, I didn't ask not much of language use, if you like, but they were able to give me the message across through that. So I think it covers all learning abilities.
Another question, how can WD use Hyperdoc to flip our classrooms?
What is WD?
I'm not sure.
Can you please, who's this? Can you please just open the mic?
I'm not sure how, all right.
The attendee can open the mic and speak to me directly if you wish. Word document, is it? WD?
The question is, how can WD use Hyperdoc to flip our classrooms? He meant we. Okay, someone said he meant we. Okay. Hang on. Yeah. How can we use Hyperdoc to flip our classrooms? Thanks for the one who clarified the mistyping. All right. So that's his question.
Okay, as you can see, it is already flipping.
Can I just clarify the question, please?
Please, go ahead.
Yeah, so sorry, because, oops, it was a typing mistake.
It's okay.
Okay, so the question is, do you think that there is a relation between flipping our classrooms and the nature of Hyperdoc itself as a technological tool in our classrooms?
Exactly, that's what I said when I think you joined us later when I described what a Hyperdoc was. It is a flip instruction, in fact. We are actually flipping the instruction in a way not as a passive learning, in fact, in a active learning, where we are giving the students the chance to be autonomous learners and take the learning in their hand, and then we build on later on when we reach to the explain part of the lesson.
Sorry to interrupt you. I attended the whole lectures from the start.
Okay.
The last point was flip in the classroom. I think it's number 8 or something like that.
Yes, exactly, yes.
Yeah, and when we link that to the instructional model you proposed,
yes,
that of 5 stages, yes, do you think that flipping classrooms would become at the beginning of the early beginning of our lesson plan template, or you just keep it to the end as a way of preparing our students to the next session?
No, I do it flipping in the way that in the beginning, remember, if you saw the activity of Jamboard, that was the engaging part when I was activating the schema. I was tapping on the background knowledge of what they knew of that lesson of global warming. So it was very basic vocabulary, very basic questions, nothing that, a general person would know, nothing that in-depth knowledge there was asked. So in that way, I was activating the schema, I was activating their knowledge they know, and then I build on later on. So flipping in the way that not I'm talking from the first time I started my PowerPoints, I gave my lecture, now I want them to work on the activities. So in that way, I'm flipping my instructions when I'm giving them the chance to tap on the background knowledge, and then I build on from there. I hope it clarifies.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Most welcome. Most welcome. Any other questions? Okay.
So far, no questions.
Okay. So I think
we're not.
Yes.
It seems we're not getting any further questions.
Okay, thank you so much. Then we will stop our session here now. Thank you so much for taking time and joining us. And this is my contact number. And if you have a contact email, sorry. If you have any other further questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. You can present at our platform as well. We will be sending a call of presenters soon. It's on our website as well. This is the website address. And please give us 5 to 7 days to send your certificate of attendance. You will all receive it soon. And if anyway you have not signed in today with the name you have registered, so please email us. So that's the way we are unable to track your names and unable to send you a certificate, right? Thank you so much once again. And we hope to see you in our future webinars. Bye for now.